The Local Show, featuring conversations with business owners, employees, and local business leaders about their successes, challenges, and reasons for doing business. Right here in Central New York. The Local Show is locally produced by Zoey Advertising. Now your hosts, Tom and Steve.
Back into it and back at it. You've got The Local Show with Tom and Steve normally, but Steve is not with us today. I've got Bob Holden-Betts as my co-host, and it's great to have him along. Bob is a beekeeper, Ho-Bee Honey. That's H-O-B-E, right?
That's correct.
Ho-Bee for probably Holden-Betts is in there somewhere.
You got it. Yeah.
That's great. And, I haven't had honey in a while. Yeah, your honey, I used it all up and then hadn't seen you in a while.
This feels like a hint.
Yeah, I need some honey.
Okay.
Yeah. Gotta have some honey and mix that in with my green tea. And sometimes I just like to take the honey, just a swig of honey.
Yeah.
A nice shot of it. And but now you got all those fancy flavors. It might be too fancy for me.
Well, maybe not. We could get you onto something else. Ginger honey's good. And what's coming up this week is lavender honey. All the lavender is in bloom, so we do a lavender infused honey, which is great in lemonade or tea.
Good golly, that's something else. How the ginger, is it fresh ginger?
Fresh ginger.
So that's good for your stomach too.
Yeah.
So you get the benefits for the allergies and for the stomach.
You got it.
That's good. How about the kid? Your son Solomon is out there in Ireland.
He was out in Ireland. He studied there last year. He's back now.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yep. He's working for the summer.
And he's a runner.
He's a runner. Yep.
Yeah,
so we've been watching a lot of the Olympic trials.
Oh, okay.
Because there's a lot of college kids that are trying out for that.
Do you think he might? He just might?
He aspires to. It might be a few years down the road. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Okay. Well, it's our pleasure again to bring on John Tumino, one of our favorite guests here on The Local Show, co-founder of In My Father's Kitchen. John, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Nice to meet you, Bob.
Good to meet you, John.
Yes. Can't wait to try this honey.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so I've noticed a lot of people during the hot days, a lot of the homeless are on where they would normally be on the street. They're like off into the woods and stuff. Is it pretty dangerous for them to be out in the 90-degree heat?
Oh, yeah, especially when, most definitely. Especially when, you're using active drugs. So if you have an addiction going on, you're not thinking of hydrating yourself. So we're making sure at this time of the season that we're bringing lots of water and giving them instruction of staying in shaded areas and things of that nature, taking breaks as you're doing whatever you're doing. But it's been a hot beginning of summer.
And you're out there, outreach right to them.
We're right in the middle of it. It's interesting with all this construction going on around this area, how it's causing folks to not be in their normal locations.
Right. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah, there is a lot of that going on.
Yes.
Whew. So explain to people what In My Father's Kitchen is for those that don't know completely.
Yeah, so In My Father's Kitchen does direct street outreach to the chronically homeless of Central New York. These are folks that are living outside in places not meant for humans to be living, under the bridge, in the woods, in abandoned houses. We bring out service to them, whether it's food, clothing, supplies, medical attention now with our doctor that's embedded with us, Dr. Lehman from upstate, as well as Dr. Page has been helping us. And we're just bringing out care to folks in the middle of their brokenness, trying to build relationships with people where they trust us enough to help them navigate out of that situation. Yeah. So, for example, this past June, we've assisted 5 of those folks that were homeless into housing. There was 3 people living under the Park Street Bridge where you're going towards Old Liverpool Road. Yeah. It splits off there. There were some folks living under there. We helped them get navigated to housing, so that's cleared out. Now our higher ground crew goes in there and cleans that whole area out. And we're just doing it one person at a time, but we had a really great
That's a big
June.
win for you, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a really great June, especially that it was hot. That weather kind of makes people think about, if you're sweaty and sticky and all that, it makes you think about, hey, do I really want to keep doing this? So those kind of extreme weather conditions help us as outreach workers, help people navigate through that system.
And you said something today, and you've said it before, that I don't think a lot of general people understand that most of these people, maybe 90% or so, are on drugs.
Yeah, so my group specifically that are living outside, 95% are it's untreated addiction as well as untreated mental health are both happening at the same time.
Okay.
So that's not to put that label on all homelessness, like people living in the shelter. That might not be the status quo, but for me, what I've learned over the last 13 years, that's how high the percentage is.
And the reason why I bring that up to the folks who might be listening to us is that, sometimes you have to be careful, right? You don't want to just throw money at them.
Yeah, and I always say that. Thanks for bringing that up, because I always say don't give money, give things. If you feel like you're someone who wants to do something for someone on the corner, maybe it's your normal route to work and you see a certain person, create a Ziploc bag, put some honey in it, put some other things in it, to give them dignity and value through stuff, but ask them if they would like it. They might not want it, and don't get offended if they don't take it. If they say yes, then you hand it out to them, and you did a good deed, and you help somebody out at the same time.
Yeah. Talk about the spiritual component of your business.
Yeah, so for me, we're a faith-based not-for-profit. I'm clergy, so I'm a licensed ordained minister, so we bring out the hope of Christ as well to the streets. We don't go out there proselytizing with the Bible. We just live our faith in the works that we do, and they know that I'm a pastor, so some of them will call me Pastor John, Father John, or will you pray for me, or I might pray for someone, or we'll do funerals for individuals who've passed away, for the family members. So we bring out that component, and one of the things that we noticed in my Father's Kitchen, anyone who starts to tap into their spiritual part of their being, the transformation accelerates. So it seems interesting to me that you could deal with your mental capacity, that's great. You could deal with your physical stuff, that's awesome. But when you tap into the spiritual part and you put all three together, watch out, where transformation starts to truly happen.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What started you having a heart for these people, John?
I had an encounter with a gentleman on an off-ramp. So for me, it happened in 2011. I'm coming off the Bear Street exit, not too far from here. This guy holding a cardboard sign, and I just felt in my heart, he felt like that he's invisible, that God's seeing him, and he wanted me to go do something. And based on that encounter, it changed my whole trajectory of my life. I left the restaurant world behind. I had a successful restaurant on North Salina Street and gave it up to my family, and my wife and I started this journey 13 years ago, and here we are. And now we incorporated this house for women coming out of human trafficking.
I was just going to ask you about that.
Yeah, so a lot of the women on the streets will cross over to trafficking, whether they're being trafficked by someone or they traffic themselves. We've embedded ourselves with Judge Davis at Human Trafficking Court. Now it's called Intervention Court. They changed the name of it. But we're receiving in our new resident into our home, Lifehouse. This coming week, we have an intake with this young lady, and she's someone that's familiar to our community, but we're going to help her kind of go underground for 9 months and start to do a transformation in her life. So, yeah, we're excited about that.
That's wonderful. How many people can you take in at that house?
2 at a time. It's top heavy. Like, we have staff around the clocks 24/7. It's a safe house, kind of like protected, security, staff all the way around, and we're helping that person navigate their traumatic experience, helping them get connected to the service providers and things of that nature, as well as bringing the spiritual component for them going to church, doing Bible study, stuff like that. Yeah. So for us, for anybody who's listening, if you want to jump on board with us and help us, please visit our website at inmyfatherskitchen.org, and we'll gladly take your donations.
Okay, so donating is one way you can help, and then through the sale of your sauce.
Yeah, our pasta sauce, Taste and See pasta sauce, is sold in Wegmans as well as like 5 different specialty shops throughout the community. People can eat with a purpose. You come in, we're calling it the sauce that saves. You help us save lives by purchasing that item and filling your family's belly. You help us fill bellies of people on the street. Yeah. So taste and see.
My wife saw it in the cart. I put a couple of jars in the cart, and she was like, "What? We don't buy jarred stuff." And I said, "This is John Tumino's sauce," because usually I make my own sauce. Yeah. But I make sure to do that and I think about you when I'm having it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Tom. And then the other thing is, last quick note is, like, if you go to our website, I could deliver to your front door. So if you don't feel like you want to go to the store, you order it online, and I'll show up at your front door and deliver it.
That's wonderful. Well, John, we can't thank you enough for what you do in the community, and I know I always say that, but it really is heartfelt. Thank you for being around for us.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. And Bob, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Yeah. All right. John Tumino right there, co-founder of In My Father's Kitchen. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Matt Major. He's the founder of Your Local IT Department right here on The Local Show on 570 WSYR.